All right. Well, we should be live. So hopefully audio and video will not give us the kinds of problems that we typically have on these streams. So this is our monthly chat with patrons for October 29th, a couple of days away from Halloween. So I was kind of thinking somebody might show up in a costume, but nobody decided to dress up. So. We've got Murray here with us, Jean-Michel, and Dark Zero. Bringing the heat, huh, Murray? Way to go. Well, what do you guys... What's been going on with Linux and free and open source software here in the last month? What have you been working on, Murray? Mm-hmm. Right. Hold on just a second. Give me just a second, Murray. They can't hear you. So let's make sure. No, I think it's the stream output. Yeah, but you're not previewing YouTube. We're fine here on the Zoom call, but YouTube can't hear anybody but me. All right. I don't know. I don't see any problem here. Say something, Murray. Hold on just a second, Murray. I know the problem. Now say something, Murray.
Well, there's a lot of computer languages that can generate code in the J language, which is modern APL, Picat, which is Prolog type languages, Chapel, which is a parallel processing languages. It's just about everything. You can do Mojo now. Couldn't when it first started.
Now say something, Murray.
To create a Mojo function. Well, there's a lot of computer languages. Check for eliminate duplicate files in a folder. I did that. Okay. So it's been working out pretty well for me.
All right. Well, it took me a couple of minutes to get the audio settings correct here in OBS so people could hear what you said, Murray, on YouTube. So YouTube missed that whole conversation, unfortunately. But now everybody should be heard on YouTube because my audio stream is on a different audio stream than you guys, which is on the computer desktop audio stream. And I was, if I'd have been recording a video like I typically do, it would have been fine. What I do is I record my audio on one stream and I record the desktop audio on a different stream on two different tracks. That way I can adjust the volumes. But for this kind of call, everybody needs to be on the same track. Otherwise, YouTube is only going to hear me and not you, or vice versa. So, well, that was the issue. I had to go into the desktop audio mixer in OBS and make sure we're all streaming to the same one track. So, and when I started the stream, I said, well, we're not going to have any audio or video issues this time, right? So.
It's last words.
Every single time.
Every single time. Well, actually, this was a minor one, and it took me 2 or 3 minutes to figure out what the problem was. The problem was I did a collaborative video the other day with Josh from Keep It Techie. And anytime I do those kinds of videos where it's just me and a guest, I always like doing those where I put my audio on one track and their audio on a different one. Because if, do like an hour-long video with somebody, and one of us, our volume is really loud, and one of our volumes is really soft, it is a nightmare to edit that thing unless you have everybody on separate tracks. If everybody's on a separate track, I just lower my volume, raise their volume, and it's done. Where if everybody's on the same track, you actually have to go in and try to cut little...
And you cannot even cut if you have it on the same track and you're both speaking at the same time.
If you're both speaking at the same time, there's nothing you can do. But luckily, most of the time, you're not speaking over each other. But still, it would take you, hours to go in and chop it up and to raise levels, lower levels. Just putting everybody on the same or on different tracks is the way to go if you can. Now, obviously, on something like this, I can't do that.
But it's YouTube being dumb, huh?
No, this wasn't a YouTube problem. This was, I had those OBS settings specifically for me and one other person where I like to have everybody on a different track, the two people.
I mean...
But for this, everybody has to be on the same track.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, you could only record the desktop audio in something like OBS and then use something like Audacity to record the microphone, maybe?
Yeah. Well, the problem is not, if this was just a recorded thing, none of this is a problem. Right. Yeah, it's all streaming. Streaming is the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as far as Linux things, okay. First, I need to start with one thing. Lebanon is currently going through a war. Second, is Zero Linux. I needed to drown myself in Zero Linux to forget the war going on outside. But I finally was able to create a script, a very smart script, that for all you Wayland lovers out there with Nvidia cards, initial support has begun on Zero Linux. It works with Nvidia cards with limitations, of course, by Nvidia. But as far as installing the drivers and having Wayland work, now it's there. And it took me 4 days to write the script because I'm not a bash scripter by any stretch of the imagination. But I started using logic, and the problem with the problem that I faced is with GNOME, because on Arch, on Debian, and other distributions, when you install the NVIDIA drivers, for whatever reason, GNOME hides the Wayland session. So I had to work around that, because there are common steps to go through for KDE and GNOME, but specifically for GNOME to stop hiding the Wayland session, I had to do extra steps, but specific to GNOME. So I had to figure out how in the script to detect to do the common things for both KDE and GNOME, and if it's GNOME specifically, to do the extra steps, which is just symlinking the 61 rules, GDM rules, to show what the Wayland session on GDM. So with that out of the way, the script works. Now I sent it to someone, a good friend of mine, VLK. He's a very good friend of mine of the project. He's turning my basic bash script into a more advanced one and a much cleaner one. But I'm happy to tell the NVIDIA users that, no, I don't hate Wayland. Proof that I worked for 4 days to include support for NVIDIA, because I use NVIDIA. So stop yelling at me and saying that I hate Wayland. I just don't consider it as ready, because it is not. And applications are not adopting. There's a lot of applications that people use on a daily basis that have yet to adopt it. So it's not daily usable because of that. Like, for example, hello, Discord. Discord is still using Electron 22. And starting Electron 25, it supports Wayland.
Well,
but,
Electron is its own kind of.
Yeah, but why are they
beast,
still using? Why are they still using the old one?
No, but Electron is actually a problem, kind of in general. I mean, Electron's a problem on the BSD operating systems for whatever reasons, dependency issues or something. I don't know, but Discord has always been, or just Electron apps in general, have always been kind of flaky. I know they're supposed to be cross-platform and everything, but it's not as truly cross-platform as what they make it out to be.
No, if you go to the Electron GitHub, they have been supporting Wayland and working on Wayland for the past few months now. It's just the applications not choosing to adopt the latest version that supports Wayland. They're sticking it to the old Electron.
You can't make app developers adopt things. I mean, it's their app. They're going to do what.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem.
There's a new version to replace Electron called Tori, and it's written in Rust, of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah. No, you guys are joking, but the more because I maintain a lot of AUR packages on my repositories, I'm realizing more and more are switching to Rust, especially especially GTK apps and extensions. So I'm realizing, being a distro maintainer, you have a sneak peek behind the curtain. So you see what's going on and what decisions developers are taking. So I'm really, and now that I'm drowning myself to hide the shit going on outside, I'm realizing how fast developers are working. Like people are working really fast on Wayland. They're crunching 24/7.
I think the trick with you talk about being a distro maintainer and being frustrated that people aren't adopting certain things, or this doesn't work, that doesn't work. You do have to be more of a realist and not an idealist with these things, because it's the same issues we faced from the beginning. People want standards. People want everybody to settle on this one thing, and these things never happen. You want everybody to update to the latest version of Electron. Good luck with that. There's still Python 2 applications out there that people use every day, that I use every day. Even
that is true.
Right. How long has Python 3 been a thing?
Not very long.
It's a long time.
It's been a long time. A very long time.
It's been out at least 12 years. How long has Python 3 been out, Murray?
I have no clue. But what amazes me is that Python comes with a Python 2 to 3 converter, and devs just don't use it. They can literally just run a simple script and then just convert.
Oh yeah, I remember the Python environment now.
You
have to use.
Not the virtual environment.
I know what you're talking about, but there's also the virtual environment. Now you can no longer use Python install. You have to create the virtual environment, and all that and people call it frustrating, but it's a small price to pay for stability. Now it's
Python 3, the initial release, was December of 2008. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Python 3 has been out as long as I've used desktop Linux, and it has been. But Python 2, still out there. Applications that were written in it, probably applications not being maintained. That's why they've never been updated.
I don't know. I've personally never encountered any Python 2 application.
Well, I have.
You will.
I have.
If you dig deep enough in the AUR, you'll find them.
Okay.
Like yesterday, I was I maintain Balena Etcher on my repositories from the AUR. I realized that they killed off the Balena Etcher bin, and now they replaced it with Balena Etcher Electron bin.
I'm doing a quick where is Python 2 on my system just to verify I do have some Python 2 here. Yeah, user bin Python 2 is installed.
Yeah.
I did that, and it just says command not found, so I'm lucky.
So for Balena Etcher, they replaced it with the Electron bin, and what does that do? It repackages an app image. I was like,
Yeah, but I think they've always
They always use Electron. Yeah.
their official release has always been a app image
Oh,
too. I think.
yeah.
no, the dash bin that I was
Better.
maintaining before, the etcher dash bin that they deleted from the AUR was being built from the deb file.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody probably packages for Debian, but the Etcher guys have always packaged an app image.
Yeah,
That's
that's how you download it on Linux. But Balena Etcher, as it is now, and the latest version 13.13 is broken. Nobody use it. It's got permission issues. It will fail when you select an ISO.
See, this is why I keep the app image of these kinds of applications, because I will always have multiple app images. If something's broken, I can go back.
But luckily, for when you maintain AUR packages like now for Etcher, what I do is I kept the old PKG build for Etcher-bin that builds from the Debian file. I didn't delete that one, so I just updated the version number in that PKG build, and I repackaged it up and pushed it as an update to my repository, even though that is no longer on the AUR. So I can still... So keeping PKG builds around, even if they're dead on the AUR, some of them still work. You just need to know how to modify the PKG build.
I have...
Nice. Oh, go ahead, Murray.
I have 1,200 app images.
Wow.
Hey, yo, wow. Murray,
All created...
What?
I mean, unless every single application on your machine is app imaged.
Pretty much. Not to a fault, but pretty much.
Why?
really?
I'm
Why?
assuming you converted a lot of things to app images yourself.
Yeah, through Nix.
Yeah. Okay.
And it isolates you from the system. I have far fewer crashes now, and I can update it when I want to, not when the system wants it to. So, and I can keep the old version around. So
yeah,
it's worked really well for me.
Yeah, it's one of the major advantages of AppImages. Like GT said, you can keep as many versions, not virgin,
Yeah,
versions.
Don't keep virgins around. That sounds weird.
As many versions of all applications as you want. That's why I used to use portable apps on Windows before I nuked Windows and I replaced it with Zero Linux. But
matter of fact, the reason I started using AppImages and told people that they were wonderful is because of the Kdenlive app image. It's because I got to the point with Kdenlive, I was so frustrated from version to version. AppImages kind of solved my problem because I just used the app image version of Kdenlive, and then the next one that came out, if it was broken, well, I still had the old one.
Yeah.
Where I got tired of doing the downgrade process with Pac-Man. Downgrading to a previous version.
Yeah.
That never works because then you got to downgrade dependencies, and it just leads you down this path. Or you're downgrading so many things, and unless you're pinning them to never update again, which is also a pain.
Oh, don't remind
in
me
itself, because then you're going to run into dependency issues where things require the new versions, but you're not installing the new versions.
That's a great segue to what recently happened with the KDE packages. My lord! Oh my lord! Oh my lord!
I had wanted to use Microsoft AI tool. They have a new system out where you can have a conversation, say in French, virtual conversation about any topic of your choice, but it only worked in Microsoft Edge. So I downloaded the Edge version of an app image, and I've got it on my system, and it's not going to interfere with anything else. It'll probably just sit there from now on, but it was useful for that one particular instance.
Yeah, but
somebody in the chat was saying my volume is a little low. Let me make sure. Pulse Audio volume control adjusted my volume without me doing anything.
No, it happens. It happens.
And I've told you guys, sometimes I see the sliders in Pavu control move on their own.
Yeah, that is so annoying. How did it turn it off for you?
No, you can't. It's pipewire. It's pipewire.
And this is not something that had been happening to me, because obviously I record videos all the time. This is just for this stream today. All of a sudden, and I verified before we started the stream, I was at 100%, and I was at 60% when I opened it just a minute ago. So for some reason, it dropped my volume out of the blue for no reason.
Chat,
Yeah,
if you know, if you know how to fix this, please.
Well, if they knew how to fix it, they probably would have fixed it 15
No.
years ago. Like
no,
it's been a
No, there is probably an option in like a configuration file or something. Like you
No.
can-
no. I've always said there's gremlins in the computer that just twisting knobs and pulling levers. Like when it comes to audio, especially settings never stay where they are.
Yeah, they keep on changing. But
Yeah,
as I was saying about the KDE dependencies, as a package maintainer, and you DT might might have something to say about this because you maintain some packages on your GitLab, but all the packages that are on the AUR, very few of them were updated to mimic the change, where all the KDE packages were had a 5 added to the name. And if you try to update in the beginning, when you tried to update, one package would break, will say, "Oh, it's cannot update because this updating this will break the dependency of this and that." Nobody could update for
what you had to do, you had to uninstall all the AUR packages that still had the dependencies pointed to the old name, and then install the new KDE 5 packages, and then go back and rebuild those AUR packages.
For package maintainers, I had to do it myself because the maintainers were taking their sweet time and users were complaining on my server, I cannot update. So I had to.
Now I know people that are using DTOS probably had updates that failed because of those dependencies, and I'll just tell everybody, it's going to give you a list of conflicts. Just uninstall. It's only like 3 or 4. I think PAMAC is one of them, or like the PAMAC system tray icon thingy is one of them. And uninstall those, then do the update, and then go back if you want PAMAC and the sys tray icon and all of that.
Have to
reinstall the.
But you have to repackage PAMAC yourself, replacing updating the dependencies in the PKG build.
Yeah. If you're maintaining it yourself, if you're doing it in the AUR, if you built them from the AUR packages, you shouldn't.
Unless the maintainer on the AUR updated the PKG builds, it would work.
Well, that's the issue. Many AUR maintainers are not.
That's what I was
paying
saying.
attention. Yeah,
a lot of them weren't. So I had to do it manually myself. I opened like 60 something packages, opened the PKG build, add a 5 to all the KDE stuff, rebuild and repush to the repository. But it took me a whole day to do that. But I'm sure there are still some packages that I missed.
Well, I'm gonna rebuild DTOS probably.
Don't forget to push
this week
to GitLab so I can.
But I'll push those changes. Although really the only changes, I don't think I made any major changes, so it wouldn't have affected much this last time.
Yeah, but I don't have the ISO anymore, so I need to build a new one. That's why.
Well, I'll be sure to push those changes.
And I love building it instead of downloading it. I'm a distro maintainer. I love that shit.
Yeah, and why not?
Once a maintainer, always a maintainer. I can't stop doing it.
Yeah. Have I had my Whataburger this morning? I've got my coffee, and I did have a sausage biscuit.
So, Derek, speaking of volume, you were mentioning about YouTube volume levels being awry. They're working on it. They've reached their portable apps. They've got stable volume now on portable apps, and it's coming to the desktop soon. So, looks like it's going to be fixed. Not too far in the future. It's about time, though.
Yeah, I think I did a video about that a while back, that one of the things with video platforms and audio-only platforms, podcast platforms, is because I listen to a lot of podcasts when I'm working out at the gym. I go to the gym in the mornings, I'm working out, lifting weights, or just running on a treadmill. And I'll throw on a podcast, and I'll listen to one 30-minute podcast where the volume level is one thing, and then the next one will come on, and the volume level is like 20 decibels higher or 20 decibels lower or something, and and it's like,
are they MP3s?
No, you're downloading the podcast from from Google Play or iTunes, whatever podcasting platform you're using.
I extract the MP3 audio from MP4s,
Yeah, I don't actually download the individual MP3s and keep them on my phone. No, I don't do that.
So I have a
Yeah.
folder with it, but I asked you.com, the AI, to generate a bash script to normalize all the MP3 files in the folder, and it did it on it. So now that when I put it on my portable player, they're all at the same volume level.
Speaking of AI, for people like us, well, maintainers, developers, and stuff like that, they're very useful. But for the general populace, not that. It's more fun than serious.
They
Good
may
for
be
students.
useful.
I don't know. I think students would find it useful.
Yeah.
Good
I
for me.
would be a lot better student if I had it. If I had generated
Yeah.
a multiple choice quiz after reading a chapter, I know what I know and would know what I don't know on it.
Heck, if I had Wikipedia when I was in school, that's the thing. Like, I missed all of that because, I graduated high school before the internet was a thing, or before the World Wide Web was a thing. So,
Speaking of Wikipedia, there's Wolfram Alpha has a new AI site out,
yeah.
and it's Wikipedia-ish, but it's in tabular format.
Mhm.
In Wikipedia, you have articles you have to read through. These have tables. So if you put in, say, obesity, it will give you a section with graphs and charts showing obesity by gender and age and groups and all sorts of background information in sort of a point form.
Yeah.
But it's very limited. It's Wikipedia type articles. I put in neural network and it talked about human organs instead of the actual networks. But you can I put in pi times the radius of the visible universe squared to get the volume of the universe. Right? So it knows in AI terms what the radius of the visible universe is. So it does go out and get stuff in there. So it's pretty
Wow.
pretty good
I
for
recently
the first.
plugged Copilot into my NeoVim configuration, and I gotta admit, it's flying. Like, it's really, really comfortable. You gotta know what you're doing. It's a great tool to shoot yourself in the foot par excellence, but if you know what you're doing, it's flying.
No. Yeah, in the chat, that somebody's asking, is there any good FOSS music players for Android? Now, most music players for mobile are going to be streaming platforms, and of course, all of that is going to be proprietary DRM kind of stuff. Things like Spotify and Pandora and things like that. You're not going to find open source streaming of music, I don't think. Now, if you had your own local files, your own MP3s, I'm sure you could find an open source MP3 audio player, but that's not what most people do on mobile. So I couldn't tell you. Yeah, VLC on mobile, I guess would.
Jellyfin. You can make your own Jellyfin server.
Yeah, well, Jellyfin is a whole setup. It's
Now, the problem with open source audio and video is typically the music or the video you're playing is not Creative Commons kind of works anyway. They're typically locked down under DRM. So it's you're just going to run into a brick wall on that, unfortunately.
You'd be probably better off listening to internet radio.
It's kind of like people asking things like, hey, is there a open source Steam client or something? Well, none of the games are open source. So, I mean, you can't really... I've had people, hey, is there an open source alternative to Discord, but I still want to be on Discord? Well, if you're connecting to the Discord servers, then it's still...
it's not proprietary.
Yeah, exactly. So...
Yeah, simple music player for Android. Well, it's not as maintained anymore. Somebody's saying in chat, it's not really maintained anymore. It's an old APK. If you can find it, you will find it on APK Mirror. At least
everybody's just streaming on demand these days.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah. It's all streaming now, so... My volume is at it again. Yes, it went down to 50% for some reason.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Back up.
Hello.
Yes.
Big Pod, we got you.
Big Pod.
Feedback.
I can't. Feedback.
Headphones.
Yeah, big bot. Yeah, big bot. It's
Well, he muted himself. It's
Someone else is to blame. Here.
I think it's
Oh,
Murray.
it's
I think it's Murray.
I think it is Big Pod. Yeah.
Hype wire.
uh-oh.
DT, I think you should mute him.
What was that? Big Pod?
I think you should mute him. You should mute him.
Mute him. Who?
Murray.
He doesn't feedback.
How about I mute my audio?
You got feedback now? We still have
feedback.
Yeah.
I think it's Murray because I have a directed goal every time there's
Yeah, it's Murray.
Yeah, I'm muted, Murray. Yeah.
It's Murray.
Well, it's fixed now.
Yeah.
He's muted.
I still don't know why my volume levels are moving around. That is weird.
For me too. It just dropped to 36%.
Well, we're both on Arch-based distros. There was probably an update to Pipewire or Pulse or there's something that's changed because this hasn't been a problem. Uh-oh. Murray? Your audio's a mess.
Zoom automatically adjusts microphone volume.
Not only Zoom.
Still Murray.
Whoa, Murray. That is a mess. Let me go to audio settings and see if I can automatically adjust microphone volume. Turn that off. There we go.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Murray, I'm going to have to keep you muted because it's crazy feedback coming through your audio stream.
Yeah.
No, still feedback.
He's muting himself, I think.
Yeah, Murray, you might want to try exiting the stream and joining again.
Ay. My
Maybe
ear.
he can't hear us.
Oh, I think I know what happened to Murray. Because Firefox or whatever browser he might asked. What microphone chose is speakers.
Hey, Murray, your audio is a problem.
So
That's why we keep muting you.
he should look at next to the mute button and other select the microphone if it's correct.
Yeah. Well, it looks like he's staying muted this time. I don't know. Murray, maybe try rejoining the Zoom stream. Maybe that stream. Because it's serious echo. Really bad echo, Murray.
I don't know if he's even hearing us.
I don't know if he can hear us or not.
I'm gonna look at.
We should remix this and create some power electronica track from
I don't know. I don't know if Murray is even here. Because we haven't actually heard him try to speak. Since all of this started.
What is unmuting him?
Well, it could only be either himself or me.
Actually, as far as I know, it can only be him because
No, I can mute anybody. I can mute everybody.
But I think you cannot unmute everybody. You can just give them ability to unmute.
Yeah. I'm not unmuting him. I'm just muting him.
Yeah.
Better now?
Yeah.
That's much better.
Let's go.
All right. Yeah, it was very, very bad feedback that was coming through.
Pretty strange.
And it wasn't even at the right pitch. It was like chipmunks echoing.
No,
I
it
had
was,
exactly
changing.
the same as I heard from you guys. So I don't know.
Anyway,
Like I said, I think there's been some updates with Pipewire and Pulse Audios. Something's going on because all of a sudden, audio has been an issue.
yeah, like I was saying in the at the beginning before we started, Pulse, Pipewire has been nothing but problematic for the past 3 weeks. Anyway,
Well, I'm glad we figured out the slider problem as far as my volume. So anybody that's using Zoom, that includes all you guys, probably tell your microphone not to automatically adjust your volume.
Where in the settings?
Yes.
Yep.
Zoom settings, yeah.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to cough, or you're going to a mouse is going to run by your feet, and you're going to scream, and it's going to, oh, he's really loud. Let me now turn his volume down to 50%.
Well, I don't have that, so.
So, yeah, if you go into audio settings, just have
Is this specific to the desktop application? Because on Firefox I don't have the option.
Yeah, I've never used the browser version, so I'm using the desktop client, the Electron application. But they're in that, you go to the little microphone thing. I'm showing it on screen. I know you guys can't see it. But there'll be a menu here. Go to audio settings, and then you get this here where you can test your input and output levels. Right up under it, there is this checkbox, automatically adjust microphone volume. Make sure that's ticked off.
Yeah, I did that just now. Big Pod, I have beef with you.
Uh-oh.
What are you wrong about now?
Yesterday on Matt's podcast, nobody should be touching the terminal. Really?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Climb a tree and pick bananas.
I don't know why you shouldn't be more.
Having a Linux be as GUI centric as possible.
As GUI centric as possible. Oh, really?
That is the GUI is a better user experience. That's been known. That they're actually
for the beginners, yes, but not for us.
For everybody. For
No.
everybody. That's been the research.
And Stefan, checking out, huh? It's like, okay. It's like,
I got
If you want to use
afterwards again.
CLI, you can.
Stefan's like, give me a cigarette, grab me a beer, just some popcorn.
Afterwards again.
Speaking of
I
which,
live in the terminal. I swear by the terminal.
No, you should never touch the terminal unless the terminal says yes. And there is the yes command.
For 99% of
Also
things
the
we
P
do,
command as well.
we should have had a GUI option that should be available. Problem is that for many of the things it isn't.
Oh, now you say a GUI option to be available.
And
yes,
that one should be presented first before we even talk about terminal.
I don't care where, how, or where it's presented, as long as we have the terminal option as well.
Yes, option should always exist. I'm not that stupid. Option
Okay,
should always exist for a terminal. Should
I
it be,
agree.
Should it be presented? In most cases, no.
It should be presented. It should be a dialogue that tells people you want a
should-
GUI or a terminal-based experience.
No. We
Yes.
should first and foremost strive for better user experience.
Well, isn't that what different distributions are
That
for?
doesn't mean terminal.
Isn't that why we have different distributions, Big Fud? I mean, there's some that pretty much hide
Yes.
the command line from you. I mean, Ubuntu, Linux Mint. I mean, they practically, you will never end up in a terminal on those distributions unless you go out of your way.
But then we should stop recommending things like Arch
This-
to people.
this gives me an idea.
To new
for an
users.
application.
Well, Arch is recommended for people that want to be in the terminal like us.
No, Arch is recommended to people. Period. Nowadays, on YouTube, in articles, and that is a problem.
Well, you also,
Why?
a lot of the people that recommend Arch on articles.
All people look 180 and go back.
Yeah, but Big Pod, people that recommend Arch Linux and people that write articles on Linux are typically focusing on things like, IT and system administrations and, those kinds of fields of endeavor,
For new
the
Linux
workplace.
users.
They're not, those articles aren't for normal desktop.
For new desktop Linux users.
I don't know if
If you are
desktop
fo-
Linux is really the focus of a Linux article on pretty much any
Okay.
site.
If you are focusing on IT for new Linux user, you shouldn't be pointing it to a terminal either.
Yeah, but Arch is a good place to learn things, right? I mean, running through Arch installation
sorry, but I'm gonna keep saying that's a 100% wrong thing to say, because when I used.
Well, you can say that, Big Pod. Everybody's opinion is different. I mean, I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. It's just not mine.
Only distro I ever learned something from installing it was Gentoo.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Gentoo.
Gentoo's interesting. No, I mean Gentoo is similar, but
even Gentoo doesn't teach a lot. Why? Because most people will just mindlessly copy paste commands.
I think the reason like articles and things on Linux don't necessarily focus more on Arch as a vehicle to learning instead of Gentoo is because most people like the need to actually build software yourself, compile software yourself. It's not something even like in the server space people are necessarily trying to do.
True.
It's such a weird, Gentoo is such a weird distribution in that aspect.
That's why. For example, and I can only speak of my own experience, but with Zero Linux, we stopped. For me, I stopped shipping a GUI package manager. Even PAMAC is not there anymore. It's a choice if they want to install it or not in my tool, among other package managers, because I want users because it's Arch. I'm not saying I am Big Pod. Before you attack me, I'm not because I'm just doing this because my distribution is based on Arch, a base that is not meant to be used by new users. It's meant to be used by people who are willing to tinker. So people who are willing to tinker use the terminal more than.
I've got to disagree here because you say Arch is not meant. Well, you say Arch-based is not meant for new users, and I think the Manjaro folks would disagree with that because they are kind of targeting the new Linux users.
Manjaro should be dead.
Let's be honest. Its
What?
package manager is more a prototype than an actual product. So
as long as it works. Okay.
Shots fired at Pac-Man.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
is wrong.
Okay, we get it. But what I'm saying is because Zero Linux is based on Arch, people who target Arch, they target it because they want to play around, they want to build, they want hands-on. So I keep giving them the hands-on without taking that away from them. But if they want to add GUI applications and make it easier, they can. But it's not the primary target anymore. Zero Linux is now more for people who understand what they're doing, and those people, if they do understand, they prefer the terminal over GUI-based applications because those people are developers. Those people are people who like to modify config files and stuff like that. They like to do it in terminal. And I'm not saying this out of left field here. People told me that on my server.
Well, I can tell you that. But I do think there does come a time when you start learning some of the core utils and things like that. And, at first, it's kind of clunky. You'd rather use a GUI because you're familiar with it. Yeah. But as you become more familiar with things like, and I'm just going to throw these 3 programs out there. If you know grep, set, awk, once you know those, you would actually prefer most of the time being in the terminal because you're going to get things done quicker than in a GUI.
I use sed a lot.
Here I'm going to tell you that that's wrong.
Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong? It's Arch base. It's an Arch base, not a Ubuntu base.
Well, he's going to tell you why he's wrong. Let's calm down. So that's
the idea that in any case, terminal can be faster unless you're doing it automatically. You're writing a shell script.
Well, the problem is there's a lot of times the things you're doing at the shell, at the command line, there's not a GUI application, or at least not a good GUI application to do exactly what you're scripting for. That's the thing.
That's the first problem of Linux we should solve. Second is we should.
But it's very hard. Can you imagine? Of those 3 programs I just talked about, grep, set, awk, grep is definitely the simplest of the 3, the least features, but it's still got a lot of features. Can you imagine writing a GUI front end to grep? Why hasn't anybody ever done that before? Because that would be a ton of work. A ton of work. Why isn't there grep GUI, grep GTK in the AUR, right? Why isn't there something like that? You think somebody would have done
program that searches to something that
file searching is a big deal. File searching is there's a lot of them, but they don't all contain all the features.
There is an interesting idea there where you can pipe the output of a GUI application to another GUI application. That could be something to be explored.
Well, that is interesting. I've never actually thought about that. Piping the output from one, but the output from a GUI is not.
Again, you are just, and you are very clearly focused on the advanced use cases. Sorry, that is very advanced use case.
BigBot. All I'm saying is that Arch, if you install Arch, just pure Arch, you end up in the TTY. So you are basically doing your work in a TTY in a terminal.
Yes.
So
I know.
people who install Arch are people who like to work in the TTY. Basically.
Are you sure?
Unless they install a desktop environment, yes.
Whoa.
I'm gonna say disagree.
I think both of you are kind of right. I think people that come to Arch in the right way would know it's a TTY install. I think people do come to Arch the wrong way, like BigBot is saying, because I've actually heard people that install Arch and not know what they're doing or why they're even there.
I'm not disagreeing with that. They come for the wrong reason. It's not my problem. It's just
that's actually what should be your problem. That's actually what as a distro maintainer, as Linux community, that should be our problem. Not people who know what they're doing, but people.
Yeah, but none of us maintain Arch. I mean, we're not responsible for Arch Linux. That's the Arch Linux guys.
We're the community. We're the people that.
It's my job to tell people, and I started doing that. I'm starting to tell my users, you came to Arch, so you are expected to know what you are how to.
But they didn't come to Arch. They came to Zero Linux.
Yes.
Right.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, you can speak for Zero Linux, but you probably
Zero Linux. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but they came to Zero Linux. I immediately tell them you came to an Arch-based distro, so you are expected to have basic knowledge to get
hold up
the website.
Let's get Slendy in here.
For everyone. It says on Zero Linux that it's not for everyone, and basic Linux knowledge is a must-have. So, I mean, it's kind of their fault that they didn't read on the front page.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Sven.
That's not a problem. People don't read. That's not a problem. People don't read.
But that's a life problem. And we've got the
Murray's doing it again.
Yeah. Murray, your audio is having some issues. Oh. I bet he'll figure it out. I did want to answer a couple quick questions in the YouTube chat. Do I use Kdenlive? Yeah, I use Kdenlive to edit all my videos. All 1,500 videos I've done on the channel, I would say 1,450 of them have been edited in Kdenlive. I have experimented with other free and open source editors. I know I've done a couple of videos in Shotcut. I did a couple of videos in Blender, which Blender's actually pretty good. I've done some videos in Pativi, which is the GNOME video editor. It's not good at all, but it works. It works, but it's not good.
It's for cuts. It's just for cutting. And
I think I've tried Flowblade a couple of times. Again, I have tried half a dozen not Kdenlive video editors, and you can use them for basic things. But as far as doing what you want to do with a video editor, having really cool effects, transitions, good color grading, and all the things, audio editing even, Kdenlive is almost as good as like the big proprietary solutions. It's not DaVinci Resolve and Lightworks and Premiere Pro, but for free and open source software, it is really damn good.
Yeah.
But it's under constant development, and every other release they break things. But then they fix them the next release and break new things. So that's the only issue with it. Keep AppImages around. If you use Kdenlive, you'll love AppImages, because from one release to the next, if you need to go back to a previous version, you'll have the old.
There is this annoying issue I had with Kdenlive where if you try to render using your Nvidia GPU, it'll just be green. Everything will be green.
Yes.
You just get green video? I haven't because I've got a Nvidia card at my home computer, and sometimes I will edit a video on that machine. I've never had that green video.
I know, it just happens to me when I try to use the HMVEG encoding or whatever it's called.
Might be a setting that you need to check in Kdenlive and see what kind of encoder it's using. Make sure it's using NVENC or I don't know.
Have you been?
I'm sure it's a Kdenlive setting though. What card are you using?
A 3060. RTX 3060.
3060?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly the same NVIDIA card I have in my home computer. So yeah, I know this latest Kdenlive works with it. So
I guess I will try again.
well, that's, like I said, it's probably a setting.
Yeah.
But there's so many settings in Kdenlive. Good luck finding the right one. It is a KDE app after all, right? Tons of settings.
And Krishna is asking how is GPU acceleration with Kdenlive. It's there.
It's decent.
It's
It's
decent.
decent.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
I will tell you, compared to like some of the other editors I mentioned earlier, like for example, Blender takes like twice as long to render a video as Kdenlive does.
Yeah, but it's also made for rendering like 3D.
Yeah, but Blender is not a video editor, right? But that's an example of, Kdenlive does have some GPU acceleration. It's there. They definitely do speed up the process.
I mean, you can edit video with Blender, but I wouldn't say it's made for it.
No, it's definitely not made for it. Really, the render speeds are the big issue with it. If it would just render faster, I'd probably just use Blender.
I mean, it's really, really fast when it comes to rendering 3D.
Yeah,
because like scrubbing through the video, like the playback and stuff when you're editing is beautiful in Blender. It's just silky, buttery smooth. It's just amazing. Where Kdenlive is just choppy and it's just a mess. The playback, but Kdenlive renders faster. So
yeah, that's what we need. Better than the scrubbing.
Have you been able to get the NVENC encoding up and running by compiling Kdenlive from the Git version? I don't know why, like neither Flatpak nor an AppImage, I could not get the NVENC.
I use the Arch package, so I don't know. It works for me.
I had the Arch package before, but I'm basically just compiling the C++ program.
I've used the AppImages before on both my AMD computer here and the Nvidia computer at home. I can't remember a problem with NVENC. I've used the Snap before, but I think the Snap pack I only had on this machine. But I made several videos using Kdenlive as a Snap, and the Snap worked fine for AMD. I can't say on the Nvidia machine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just mix and match. I mean, Kdenlive, you got about 5 different package options that you can try, and maybe one of them will work.
Okay, Derek, you just hit the nail on the head. But
don't say that it's fractured and we got too many options, because this is the reason why having so many options is good, is because when one doesn't work, I can go get the other.
That's where DistroBox can come in handy.
Exactly.
What I was going to say was, in some cases that's a big problem. Like in the case of OBS, because each distro packages the OBS differently.
Well, OBS is a very unique piece of software in that it has so many plugins.
No, it's not a unique. It's not happening only to OBS. It's happening to bottles. And if you look at Fostodon, and well, you don't check Fostodon much, but on Fostodon, the developer of bottles, one of the developers of bottles quit, and now it's only one guy maintaining bottles. Why? Because there was a rift that was created due to the fact that each distro is maintaining a different version of the package. Some of them are shipping such an outdated version that, and it's bringing people requesting support from the developer for an old, outdated version that's no longer supported, and it's creating a lot of problems and a lot of issues for the developers and maintainers. So either
Well, without knowing the details of that situation at all, because I'm not familiar with the story, I will say a developer complaining that distros are not keeping an up-to-date version of their package in the repos. I mean, Debian's never going to keep an up-to-date package. Like you have to come to this thing again. You have to be a realist and not an idealist when you're in. You can't think that. You can't try to change what's already established, right?
Yeah,
so many people want to reimagine the Linux world in their own vision, and no, you just have to accept this is the way things are.
Oh, yeah, well,
and deal with it.
The problem is it's causing problems for the developer of that application, because when an application becomes outdated, they can no longer provide support for it. Why not use, his argument was why not use a unified package manager that makes it so that everyone is on the same version across the board.
But that's not the distro's problem. That's his problem. He could AppImage that thing and tell everybody just use the AppImage, and if they choose not to, then the user's at fault or whatever.
No, their version is a flatback.
Sorry,
or whatever. It doesn't matter. But pick something and package it themselves, and then don't complain about the distros making.
That's what they do. That's what they do. That's what they do. But still, they're getting support tickets for a version that is 5 years old. Example.
And at this point, people will just go, I don't want to. These developers, whoever it is, I'm not gonna pick on anybody nor say anyone specific.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know this situation or these people, so I'm not picking on anybody.
Anyone's problems at this point.
Yeah,
and they may still develop application, but not answer a single issue, single bug, or even care about single thing people have a problem with.
But they're getting.
I know of such people who said that they don't do that.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of issues on their bug tracker. And if they don't answer, people are going to see them badly. So it's creating a rift. So the guy decided, he's like, I'm done with this.
Well, that's a okay choice. That's a respectable choice. If you don't have time for it, then don't half-ass it, and don't pretend like you're working on something if you're not. I mean, if you don't have time for it, telling people, hey, I'm moving on. That's fine.
Time is the issue. I think here issue is I don't want to deal with
the frustration.
Yeah, and same
certain word from internet who do not understand that you should not be running the older version and reporting bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
I do agree with him. I'll probably just.
I agree with him as well. So, but this was not isolated to bottles. Same thing happened to 0AD. One of the maintainers of 0AD, he was like, "I'm done with this crap. Everybody is shipping a different version of our game. We cannot keep up with this stuff. I'm done with it." So this same problem is causing issues for a lot of projects.
Yeah, in the chat, it looks like I'm being informed a little bit on the situation. So he's already packaging it as Flatpak, but he doesn't want Fedora to package it as the Flatpak. So I guess he doesn't like. Yeah. So he wants his Flatpak. He wants his version of that Flatpak in these repositories like FlatHub, and not what somebody else's.
Also, what angered the people more is that he's rebasing bottles as he's calling it bottles next, and it's going to be based on built using Electron.
Oh, that didn't cause any issues at all, did it?
It did. It did.
Oh, let's move to Electron, especially if you've already, I could understand if you had started with Electron, it kind of makes sense. But if you were already building something, I don't know what he was using, GTK or Qt or whatever toolkit. Like why then switch to Electron?
It's like rewrite it in Rust, but rewrite it in JavaScript. Exactly that.
I'm gonna be here. I want to be contrarian, and this is so sad to me to say, because it is really, really sad. But developer experience is just better for Electron than anything else on Linux, any other framework on Linux.
You know what? Electron is not horrible.
but
You have to use
that's
as long
the
as you
developer side of things.
yeah, as long as you use the right one for the right at the right time.
99% of applications are okay on Electron.
Yeah,
only
well,
10%
minus Wayland.
Of course. Not enough GUI applications.
But then there's all kinds of applications that are that's not an Electron problem, right? That's a Wayland. Wayland will get there in time. But
I want to
Electron, I don't hate Electron. Remember I made a video like probably 6 months ago. It's been a while where I mentioned like my top 5 or 6 Electron apps, and people were like, "Wait, you use Electron?" I was like, "Yeah, well, some of these applications are actually not bad. This one we're on right now, it's proprietary software, unfortunately, but Zoom does work. Most people probably use Discord. Most people probably use Spotify. Most people probably use VS Code. There's a lot of Electron apps out there that tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people around the world use every day. Some of those really popular ones.
At the end of the day, most popular text editor is Electron.
Other than Vim?
VS Code, most popular text editor.
Oh. Well, VI is actually installed probably on more machines than VS Code, but nobody uses it.
ED because it's a standard text.
No, not. Well, ED is actually not installed on too many machines these days because the fact that nobody uses it, where VI is actually there.
Echo and T and
Echo's not a text editor. I mean, you can. Echo's not a text editor.
Head forward EOF.
Right.
Can I just mention a really cool alternative to what's it called? Electron. It's called Neutralino.js, and it's basically Electron but really lightweight. It uses so instead of just coming with another Chrome build and every time, it just uses the system library. So if you have WebKit, it uses WebKit. If you have Firefox, it uses Firefox as renderer, etc.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
And it's really low.
That
memory,
is useful, but
usage and
in the wide, the actual usage shouldn't be that all that useful because of the fact that we should stop shipping things as system packages. We should split that.
I disagree strongly. I think system packages are the way to go.
No, they're not. First of all,
but the huge amount of packages and separation in Linux is the issue here, for me at least.
Well, things will need to first. If we want to go with everything being as it is today, first need to majorly retool all package managers because those things are traps.
And that's another shot at Pac-Man.
I think
I knew it was coming.
I think to fix
RPM, DNF,
dpackage, DPKG, and all that. Yeah,
they're all.
What RPM and DPKG are really, really old at this point too. That's another thing.
The way package managers and how Windows installs applications are just both wrong. I think there is something that needs to be entirely new to be created.
I think Apple has the right package management. Mac OS does package management right though.
As on my Twitter banner, I hate Windows, Linux, Mac, all the operating systems that exist currently.
I made an operating system that I think is least objectionable currently.
And now I'm just working.
It's fully containerized.
I just came up with this solution of just every application being compiled at when you start it.
No.
No.
Why not?
That is waste of computing.
That is all the problems of Gen 2 times 1,000.
If you can compile the whole Linux kernel with TCC in like half a second,
just do LFS. Just do LFS.
That's not the point, Slendy. That's a waste of compute. Waste of compute.
It is a lot of energy. Yeah, a lot of power, a lot of CPU cycles. Just environmentally, that would be a problem, having so many computers doing such a task.
I just want to say,
faster and faster and less intensive, right?
If you care about the environment at all, please don't run Gen 2.
Yeah,
please.
I just want to.
History of people who know, who I know that run Gen 2. I only know one person who runs it for a good reason.
I just want to.
And
I just
now
want.
that guy doesn't have a reason anymore.
I just want to say. I just want to say. I just want to say one thing. This is the best discussion we've had in a while on this Patreon cast. But I want to ask you a question, guys. I want you to be honest and speak one by one. Don't on top of each other, because I really want to get your opinion on this.
And we're about to go off topic. Let's go.
Go ahead.
We're still in the Linux realm.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think? Should people use Linux?
Yes.
No, I didn't finish yet.
I was about to say, is there more to that?
He's trying to form
I mean,
properly.
I think you know our answer on that. Should people use Linux? I don't know.
No, I'm trying to formulate it correctly, like a big part
Please
said.
keep it down so he can ask the question.
Yeah. So, should people use Linux in the context of learning, or in the context of Linux is to you guys? Linux is a learning curve when you get to Linux, or anyone can use, or should it be that I'm going to put it in air quotes, inexperienced users use it? You want to just I want to know your honest opinion.
Well, I have people, I've put a lot of just normal people on Linux, and I'm talking about people that are completely and totally computer illiterate. They don't know a damn thing about computers. They don't know how to change the wallpaper. They wouldn't know how to change the GTK theme. I've installed various user-friendly Linux distributions on these people's machines, and they run them for years without issue. And they run them for years without issue because they don't know enough to break the system. So yeah, I mean, you can put somebody on an Ubuntu machine, for example, or a Linux Mint machine, and
The browser.
yeah, we break things because we know how to break things, and sometimes we purposely enjoy breaking things, but most people don't. Most people, all they ever do is open the little browser icon to get to the face page and do their social media stuff, and that's all they ever do on the computer.
Yeah,
and nothing ever breaks with it.
What if the distro itself pushes an update that breaks their system?
Well, you shouldn't put people on a distribution that most people are not going to take an update anyway. That's another thing. These people that are computer illiterate, that again don't know how to even change the wallpaper on their computer.
Yeah.
They don't update. What the hell's an update? They wouldn't even know where to go on the computer to update.
I mean, they would get the notification.
They'll get the notification, but they don't understand it and they close it immediately. I've witnessed it. I would say that's the norm.
Fair point.
For most people.
Okay, that begs the follow-up question then. Do you agree with people who, for example, it's a hypothetical example. People who download Arch-based distro, let's say Zero Linux, for example, they never update it. They know how to update. I'm not saying they don't. They just refuse to run Pacman SYYU.
Well, that's their choice.
Yeah, but do you think it will continue to work, or it's going to blow up in their face?
It'll continue to work as long as they never take that update.
Because
it'll only break if they take the update.
So here's the thing. If they're going to try and just install a new package, they're just going to be met with a 404, right? Because they didn't update their repositories.
Yeah. I have had machines, physical hardware, like the test laptops behind me, and also virtual machines, because sometimes I'll keep virtual machines around for multiple years. And sometimes those machines will have rolling release distributions installed. And I just know at some point, like if it's a certain amount of time, like 3 months, 6 months, whatever it happens to be, or if I just do a update or a resync of the repos and I see, oh, there's 1,500 packages that need to update, I know that machine is broken if I ever take that update. So I just never update that machine at that point.
then why do people scare others by telling them if you don't update, if you're using an Arch-based distro and you never update, it's gonna break on you?
Well, they're telling people you should probably update every few days or every couple weeks at the most.
Why do they recommend that if using it without an update is fine?
Well, using Linux without updating is always fine. And if it's working when you install it, then never updating. You're guaranteed for it never to break. Well, unless you break it.
Yeah.
Or there is a bug somewhere really deep that you normally...
Do you know how many servers, possibly millions of servers around the world, are running Ubuntu 14.04? This is LTS that is still supported by Canonical because Canonical does 10-year support. 14.04. Do you know what ancient kernel that thing is running? I'd have to Google it. 3? Yeah, it's the 3 series, but I don't know which 3. What? 314?
I've seen a bunch of these bad boys out in the wild.
Yeah.
So Pi? The kernel is Pi?
A lot of ATMs are still using Windows XP.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
And
they're running these
nice squeal out there.
And a lot of these, like these really old Linux installations, like these 10-year-old Ubuntu servers or Debian servers or whatever it happens to be, the reason they're still on that old version is because the maintainers of that server, in many cases, they're running pieces of software that they know will not work on the new version, so they've purposely never updated those machines.
True. And in NASA, and just to give an example, a concrete example, in certain areas of NASA, they're still using their proprietary DOS-based machines or Linux TTY machines and running 5 1/4 floppies.
That's
but
in government of US general problem.
And NASA,
although NASA generally uses pretty new software.
Yeah, now, but they have backwards compatibility issues. That's why they still have to keep people around that know COBOL and Fortran and stuff like that. It's because there's stuff floating around in space that still uses that crap.
I did specify in certain areas.
Yes, certain areas work hard because they have to interface with satellites like Aqua, which is like 50, 60 years old now.
Yeah,
could be. Yeah,
that is
Fortran
exactly
76.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why they keep the old software, because they're some satellites are 50, 60 years old and they need
Big Pod
to communicate.
Big Pod, you could be a rich man if you knew some Fortran.
Yeah.
Actually, we all could, but it would take us about 10 years to learn the basics, probably get up to speed on it.
Fortran isn't that bad.
Fortran isn't that bad?
It isn't that bad.
And they did it in university as a standard course because it still produces somewhat of the fastest code for
good luck learning COBOL.
Precise mathematical applications.
Yeah.
So the Fortran compiler, it's still being updated regularly.
I think GCC also uses Fortran in its source
it
code.
does. In its bootstrapping.
And it also has its own Fortran compiler. G-Fortran, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's G-Fortran. If you do LFS, you have to do 2 compilation passes of G-Fortran.
Well, how did I never notice that? I have actually compiled GCC before, and I've never noticed Fortran being a dependency, but I guess I'm not sitting there looking at the code, the output.
I compiled GCC like 6 times, so it's probably that.
Yeah. Usually when I start a compilation that I know is going to take like 8-10 hours, I don't sit at the computer. I guess that's probably why I didn't notice.
I just asked uchat.com to code a Fortran program to calculate standard deviation, and it just finished it.
Neat.
I could never do that.
You gotta love ChatGPT when it comes to programming.
Oh no! Ask somebody who tried.
Exactly. Don't use ChatGPT. Dude, it produces the most unsafe code possible.
Not only that.
The amount of buffer over. Oh my goodness.
Oh, no. Not only that.
It's sometimes plain wrong.
Well, you should know what the code is doing, like ChatGPT, you shouldn't ask it to program in a language you didn't know in the first place. Like if you ask it to write a bash script, you should actually know some bash scripting. That way you can verify.
Yeah,
you know.
It's not about the language, because if the language was incorrect, then we wouldn't compile, right? But when it compiles, it does not work great like it's supposed to, and maybe it has some security issue.
Like DT just said, like for bash scripting, thank the Lord, I know I understand bash scripting. I tried it a few times. I asked it to create a certain logic. It always put reboot in the middle, and the rest of the steps at the bottom. I'm like, I told you to ask to prompt the user for a reboot at the end. Why is it in the middle? And it starts apologizing, but it keeps it in the middle. It spits out the same code.
Well,
oh my god!
I tried multiple of these.
The one thing I like about code generation is that you can ask it follow-up questions. I had it generate a code to remove all the image files in the folder to JPEG. It ran, and then I used the folder name that had embedded space, and it crashed. And I went back and told it this routine has to handle files with embedded spaces, and it did.
Yeah,
so
of course.
That's
that's why it keeps it saves every chat you do, so you can get back to it and modify it as well. Oh, Murray.
There's a certain cap.
Uh-oh. Murray's the echo and the feedback. It's back. Had to mute you, Murray.
Well, yeah. If you reach like the token cap of these 4,000 character or word tokens in the ChatGPT chat thread, it's not gonna remember answers.
There's an interesting problem here with these file names he just mentioned with the spaces, and this is something you often run into on Linux, especially, is because file name spaces are a problem, most people will replace them with either a hyphen or an underscore, and I really don't care which one, but is there a way to automate the process where if I actually named a file with a space, could it just actually automatically convert that for me to prevent me from adding those spaces? Is there anything like that out there?
I'm not sure, but that shouldn't be too hard to write.
Because stuff like ZSH has hooks you can put before executing a command.
Okay, yeah. I could just use the shell. I didn't think about that. I could just write a bash function. He's absolutely right for that. Yeah.
Or a fish function.
Or fish, or whatever shell, yeah.
Whatever shell,
I mean, if you write it for one shell, it's essentially the same code for the others with minor differences.
Yeah. What I would have done is I would write tiny Python, C#, C, whatever language.
C#, JavaScript, Electron.
Use your language. I don't care which language you use.
A bit of COBOL.
It should be a GUI.
Yeah, go ahead. You use. That's not a problem for me. Whatever language it is, use what language you like.
Haskell.
Ruby and Rails. I heard.
I just remembered something. So you guys know about Plainline, right? It has this cool feature where the terminal also is a text editor. So you can also use it as a text editor, save files and stuff like that, but also execute commands inside of it. So you can put your cursor anywhere, type a command, and then run it. And then
I'm not.
I wrote a sane configuration to make Tmux, Xmonad, and NeoVim work together with option keys and meta keys, all with HJKL. And I'm using NeoVim for editing and Tmux for managing panes. And it's the most wonderful experience I've ever had. I did a sane configuration, and it's just wonderful. I've become a pretty average Tmux enjoyer these days.
I never understood the appeal of Tmux. Why use it?
I can send you a tutorial video on how to configure it, and it's just great. You can save your state, save your terminal state.
I mean,
I've never.
Why can't you just open multiple terminals?
Well, in a TTY you can't, and I assume Stefan probably does end up in a TTY a lot. Yeah.
I just opened two SSH sessions.
Okay.
Well, I use it
Uh,
for SSH sessions. I use it to manage workspaces and projects. It's all integrated with NeoVim, so I can basically switch workspaces within.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use tmux or GNU Screen or any of that, but I can understand in a TTY where it would be nice, because in a TTY sometimes you need two windows side by side, if you will, and you can't do that in the TTY, right?
For that, I just use Vim and just do.
It would do a Vim split, but sometimes you actually, yeah,
They
I
are
can see
annoying.
using Vim for that.
They are annoying Vim splits because, yeah, like navigating panes within Vim split is a pain in the neck to rebind properly.
Yeah.
If you have.
Well,
Like,
I actually think the regular Vim key bindings for navigating splits is okay. Like
Okay, well, I did. Like,
they're not complicated. I mean, Control WW to move to the other split, and
yeah.
right, Control WW to go back. Right, it's typically you're only working between two anyway. So if you know that one key binding, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry,
I have.
sorry for jumping in here. I just got pinged, and it's off topic. I'm just gonna drop this before I forget. Wayland are creating a newsletter, and guess what they called it?
What they called it?
Way of the Land.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Original title. Wayland, Way of the Land.
You know, that's a cheesy title, but it could have been much worse. I mean, with free and open source software, trust me, they could title things much worse.
I would have guessed.
I think it's not
Way
landing the way.
Landing the way. That actually is a much better. Big Pod, you should file a bug report with them. Let them know.
Yeah, I got pinged, and I was like, "Way of the Land, interesting." Because I have a comic book that I read. It's a French comic book. It's called Way of the Land. So
Yeah, in the chat, you started something, Stefan. Tmux plus Fish plus Western plus i3. You know what? You can actually do everything you can do in those four applications if you just use
I'm
Emacs.
gonna drop mine.
But if you just use Emacs, you got it all. So,
I went
Use
for the
DTOS.
Emacs route, and it was so heavy and complicated with eLisp, and it just made a huge knot in my mind. And
oh, eLisp is beautiful. Actually, it's not as beautiful as Haskell, but eLisp is pretty comfy once you.
I see the point of it, and I see being able to carry your configuration into SSH sessions and whatever. It's
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. SSHing into a remote machine with Emacs is so nice because you don't have to worry about Emacs being on the other machine. You're using your Emacs essentially to do a secure copy or whatever it is you're doing over,
That's
Or-
real nice. But other than that, I found it pretty cumbersome and heavy to use.
I think you can use Fuse to mount an SSH directory.
yeah,
Can you
but
not?
but Fuse is recently has had a few issues, at least on Arch.
Well,
But
I don't know about that, but I think because Fuse is just a lot of just programs implementing some functions for make dir, write, and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Basically what Fuse is. And I think
You also have to worry about Fuse. You also have to worry about the version of Fuse is different on some distros. And then once again, going to other Unix-like operating systems like the BSDs, what's there? Is Fuse even there? What version? It's not a universal thing, unfortunately. Where Emacs is the same. Emacs is the same on every operating system: Windows, Mac, Linux, BSD. Right?
if on your desktop you use Linux and you have Fuse, you can just mount like an SSH computer, right? With Fuse, and then just use your whole app, all of the applications, your editor, your anything to just edit the files on the remote server,
In
right?
theory, yes, yeah.
But yeah, usually you don't need it. Like these days, working on a server basically consists of installing the basic services, which you can do in
Editing
Vim
the configuration file and system console start.
We use Ansible or some kind of a recipe these days, like
Whatever.
make this automated, don't repeat yourself, and then just deploy a GitLab runner or whatever, and all you do is
Just
push
editing
the Git
some
repository.
configuration
the
files,
tag.
really, at most,
Yeah,
right?
but that's what you can do in Vim, so I don't need to.
Well, that's yeah. Yeah, because you have Vim and Emacs and the various plugins and extensions for them. VS Code's the same way. Any good extensible text editor is going to let you remote into a server and do what you need to do anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, working on servers these days, like just make your deployment as automated as possible. That's my learning for the
Can
year
I write a bit
2023.
about VS Code?
Yeah, but but
just use SSH.
I can do. If I need to manage a server, I can do it just as well from SSH, from VS Code as I can do from a normal terminal. It includes a terminal.
It includes everything you need.
It goes onto the server. I connect to it. It is like I'm on that server, directly connected, directly on it.
Server connection with VS Code requires you to use the proprietary version, so you cannot use something like VS Code. Yeah, that's my rant here.
I mean, there's licensing issues, but as far as the connection itself, it's no different than SSHing with Vim or using Tramp and Emacs or whatever you're using to connect. I mean, it's essentially at the end of the day, it's all SSH.
True.
DT, did you have? Well, I know you're busy, but did you have the time to watch Brody's reaction to your system tray video?
Oh, that video, yeah.
No, I haven't. No, you guys know I don't watch much YouTube, unfortunately. Well, I don't watch much Linuxy YouTube. I don't even watch my own videos. So, yeah, I don't even watch my own videos. So, watching somebody else reacting to my video that I didn't even watch my own video, I was like, I don't want to watch this thing. I'm sure it's a great video. It's just not entertaining. It's not how
was entertaining. That one was entertaining because he's very good at doing it. But I agree with him rather than you, because system trays are really important. System tray icons are really important. They a lot of applications. I agree with you when you said some applications do not use the system tray correctly. Properly.
It's important.
But a lot of icons are very, very, very important. Specifically, OBS. I don't know why you used OBS as an unnecessary thing.
Well, if you have the OBS, everything you can
multiple monitors, yes.
But OBS, you can keybind all the actions as well. That's another thing.
You can.
You don't necessarily.
You need you need to see what's happening in OBS. If you and you need to make sure it's recording. If you have a single monitor, not multiple monitors, even if you put the OBS window on a different workspace, you can't see OBS. Because it's in a single monitor scenario, it's hidden.
You cannot verify.
You cannot verify. You need the tray icon. So I was thinking, why is DT talking about his situation and generalizing it as the situation? No, if you have multiple monitors, yes, I agree. But if you have a single monitor, it is super useful.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. There are applications that use it improperly because they shouldn't be there. Yes, I agree. But most applications use it properly.
I give you an example right now of one that I'm certain serves no purpose.
What?
Zoom put a icon in my sys-tray. I'm sitting here staring. I don't know what that icon does. I don't, because Zoom, you guys are looking at the stream on YouTube. I mean, we got all the controls, and it's a lot of controls. Here in the window itself, what exactly does... Oh, it opens up another window.
Okay. Zoom, when you're logged in and you work with your team, you have a bit more like calling functionality and stuff like that in there.
Join meeting, and if you right click on it, you have join meeting and something else. I cannot see.
Well, the point was the system tray was really, again, for system state stuff, right? For showing if your volume's muted, for showing if you're connected to the internet, right? It's for just displaying a state of something going on your computer. It shouldn't be a way to launch an application. Like it shouldn't be the way to control a GUI application necessarily. That's the thing. It's people are using the system tray the wrong way with their applications.
I think it's fine to have those quick access things for.
Well, it might be fine, but
for example,
but you run into problems, especially. Most people have probably never run a window manager, a standalone window manager. But if you have, some of them don't even have panels. Some of them have panels, but they don't have systrays in those panels. So there's a lot of window manager, even in desktop environments, full desktop environments, there's some that don't include a system tray. So when you're putting things in a system tray, and it's just a regular application that could be just a standard application, you launch in a menu, it opens its window or whatever, you're kind of punishing the people that use something like the modern versions of GNOME, for example, that don't have a system tray. I know you can add a system tray to GNOME, but it's not. They're out of the box.
But I'll give you an example. I currently have, and I do this on purpose. I modify the settings of the systray. I currently have, minus the useless zoom icon. I currently have 18 tray icons visible always. For me.
My goodness.
I couldn't handle that. That's
I only have one.
I have
no.
0.
Well, I have the network connection, the microphone, the KDE Connect, Bluetooth, USB eject, and whatever, because I always have USB stuff connected. Bluetooth, caffeine, because the monitors were going to sleep as I was.
Well, some of that, like microphone. Like whether the microphone is on or not, that's a system state. That makes sense. It's just letting you know, Bluetooth, is it working or not? That's all that icon displays, right? That's fine.
Anything that you can find in like quick access.
Yeah, go ahead, Murray.
Okay, I have a volume slider in the system tray because the YouTube videos go up and down all the time. No, I just adjust the volume slider on it. As it goes.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most common system tray icons is the volume icon.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example of a useless one that, for KDE, for example, because I included on Zero Linux. It's Yaquake.
Yes. Yeah.
It has
and I like that the Yaquake terminal is actually a nice application.
But there's a key binding for that. It's F12.
But you don't need the system tray icon to
exactly because you have F12. You call it through F12. Yeah. Why do you need a system tray for that?
It's just inconsistency. That's all, my video was about, is the system tray was meant for one thing, and it's kind of been bastardized into being a place where anybody that creates any application has decided they want to use the system tray. And
I'll give an example where the system tray is really bad to have and to be bastardized. DTOS. On DTOS, the system tray looks ugly.
Yeah, that's Qtile, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, it's not you. Yeah. I'm giving an example of a window manager.
And keep in mind, with my Qtile config on DTOS, I have a system tray. But again, for years, I ran Qtile before starting the YouTube channel. With Qtile and Xmonad and Awesome Window Manager before both of those, I never used a system tray. I mean, I went 10 years without ever using a system.
You were right to do
that. You don't. And again, it's not like there was ever a situation where, damn, something's wrong with my computer. I need a system tray. Like, I think people imagine that you're limited without a system tray, and the truth is, if you got rid of it right now, you'd never know it. You'd never miss it.
Well, some people won't miss it, but I would.
The Qtile system tray widget, though, is bad, and they know it's bad. It's you can't configure it in any way. You can't even move it. It has to be at the end of the panel. Like there's no options to theme it at all.
Because it's a separate entity to the panel.
And also the fact that system trays are kind of tied to the display server. So I'm on Xorg. That system tray is for Xorg. If I was using Qtile on Wayland, I'd have to use a completely different widget and code block for the system tray on Wayland, because again, system trays on Xorg and Wayland are not the same.
Yeah, and on Wayland, there's a problem with the system tray on Qtile. Is it, for some reason, it keeps hiding itself behind the panel.
I can't even get the system tray to work on Wayland on my home computer, but I mean, I run Nvidia on my home computer. I might could get it to work on this machine.
Yeah, though. I saw it in some videos, like
No.
Somebody was talking about one of the major issues with Qtile on Wayland is because the system tray is a separate application, separate widget that you have to add to the panel, and it's not really complete.
Well,
it keeps hiding itself behind the panel.
Here's the thing with the Unix philosophy, modularity. Maybe the system tray should be a separate application from the panel. That's why, to be honest, that's why some tiling window managers, even standalone floating window managers that have panels, that's why they don't include a system tray. It's because if you want a system tray, there's third-party system trays you go install and configure. That's what I was doing with Xmonad for my fancy Xmonad config. I was using Xmobar for the panel, but I was using Trayer as the system tray. And even though the panel and the system tray looked like they were all the same thing, that was actually two applications running side by side, and I had a hacky little script that, depending on the size of Trayer, how many icons were in it, Xmobar would dynamically adjust its size. Like if it was 3 icons in it, Xmobar was this size. If there was 4 icons in Trayer, Xmobar was this size. So it's a hacky solution, but again, it's kind of the old Unix philosophy where you have small modular programs. Everything just does this one little task. Is that the correct way? I don't know. It's not the correct way for most people because most people could not.
There will always be opinions for everything.
Well, I can just tell you, most people can't get a sys-tray working in a desktop environment or window manager that doesn't already have one. Because that's one of the biggest complaints you see with Xmonad. That's one of the biggest complaints you see with DWM. Is it doesn't have a sys tray. Well, there's ways to patch DWM for a sys tray. Good luck getting that thing to work.
Yeah, I noticed also in all the people's videos about Hyperland, nobody has a sys tray.
Yeah.
On Hyperland because most of them use Waybar.
Yeah.
And Waybar does not have a sys tray.
Well, again, the one thing I'll say, and I understand people's frustrations that want a sys tray, but you don't necessarily have to have it. Like if you go without a sys tray for a little while, nobody that uses DWM has ever had a sys tray. I can just tell you that almost nobody has ever patched that thing to actually run with a system tray. And those people get along just fine. Like
they're still
right. For me, I'm a KDE user for forever. I'm never switching. I tried everything else. Well, I didn't try everything else, but I tried a lot of other things. I cannot live without the sys tray. My eyes automatically go searching for a system state in a system tray.
Well, here is another thing, and this is kind of a hot topic issue. It's very similar to, do you need a sys tray? Do you need a panel? That's another thing. A lot of users do not even run a panel on their screen because the panel's just taking up extra screen. Yeah. Murray is back with the feedback. Let's mute Murray.
I used to run my system without a panel, but then I just ended up making a script that toggles it, right?
I will say,
back to getting one.
I will say this: if you run a single monitor system, running without a panel is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Like that panel really does serve no purpose. The only reason I have a panel on my tiling window managers is so I know what workspace is on what monitor, because each monitor is its own workspace. That is the only information on this panel, this fancy panel that's got all the widgets. The widgets I don't care about. I don't need to know what the CPU usage is or if I have any updates or time, date, whatever. I don't need any of that. I just need to know am I on workspace 1, workspace 2, workspace 3. And if I only had a single monitor, I wouldn't need that information, because I would know what the one monitor's on because I had to switch to that workspace anyway. Like if I do Super 2 to go to workspace 2, I'll always know I'm on workspace 2 right now. I don't need the monitor to tell me, or the panel to tell me.
I'm mouse oriented, so I do have a panel at the top, and I use it because it's muscle memory. I know exactly where I can see the icon and I can hit it in half of a second on it. I've got the browsers, the file manager.
No, for me, I don't put shortcuts in my top panel. I just put the time, because if I want to know what time it is, I immediately muscle memory look at the top panel, and when I want to get to an application, I need my application menu in my top panel. I cannot, for whatever reason, when I go to Windows in a VM now, it's no longer on my system, I keep looking for the application menu on the top.
Yep.
I hate it at the bottom. I
Yep.
hate it at the bottom.
That's one of the things with my tiling window manager configs. I'm sure you guys have noticed. I always put my panels at the top, even though there's no menu or anything to navigate to. Just people expect the panel to be there. People expect the time and date to be on the far right-hand side. So even I, with these tiling window managers, I'm trying to conform to the way you learn things on Windows.
Probably because of the mobile phones, right? Because mobile phones always keep the status bar at the top.
Yeah. And also DT, you run your scripts from Rofi or whatever it's called.
Yeah, D menu, but you or Rofi, both are installed. You can choose either one though.
Yeah. You run most of your scripts using D menu, and I need to say one thing about your scripts. They're so damn useful.
Appreciate that. I had some help on those.
ChatGPT?
No. Those scripts have been a work in progress for several years now, but there's like 30 scripts that are part of the DM scripts package. Half of them were other people's inspiration that started them. Only about half of them were ones that, I wrote myself for the most part. So it's, it's a community project. There's a lot of people that had a hand in the DM scripts.
But they're very useful to play music and I don't know what's your fascination with playing radio or playing music using Emacs and whatever.
Well, if you're already in Emacs, all Emacs does is it runs the MPV, no window MPV, the command line MPV, FF play essentially. That's all it does. And why not run that command if you're already in Emacs? Just run it right there. Emacs has a terminal. You could always just go to the terminal and do that in Emacs. But if there is this e-radio player I talked about the other day is just a very simple little Emacs Lisp script.
Emacs is so funny. People use it as a window manager now.
System trays. Yeah. I've installed a system tray in Emacs before.
No, not system trays. I mean,
no. He's making a joke.
No, but that's why I installed the system tray. It's because I was using Emacs as a window manager for a little while, testing out XWM, and when you're doing that, I installed the system tray just to see if a system tray, like if there was one, because I wasn't sure there was one, and if it would actually work. It's very easy. You just do a use package, whatever system tray applet, and all of a sudden in your mode line, you have the little icons for volume and all of that.
Because of you, now I listen to online radio. I don't know. You're a good influence.
It makes sense to just write your own scripts for stuff like that because, for example, do you need a gigantic program like VLC to stream your favorite radio station? VLC is a fantastic program, but that's not, that's a little overkill if all you're ever going to do with that program is to listen to radio while you're working on your work machine,
Yeah, I use shortwave. It's a GTK application, and I got it from FlatHub. But I listen to radio through that, and
I've tried shortwave before. Yeah, it's a good application.
It works because, but the problem I found in it is it's got very limited number of our local radio stations here. So I had to go to a radio station's website, grab their streaming URL, and put it in there. It works.
Well, that's why I have the DM radio script and DM scripts, and that one, that was me that wrote that particular script, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was. Matter of fact, I think I might have even done a video of me scripting it on camera. It's not a complicated thing to do.
The URL.
Yeah, as long as you know the URL, MPV can take the URL at the command line. That's all. You give it an array of stations, and boom, pipe that into D menu or Rofi or any other launcher that can take that kind of input, and away you go.
Yeah, that's one of the useful scripts I was talking about.
I want to say it took me 10 minutes to write that script. I cleaned it up a little bit, but I remember, I think that's the one I did on camera. I think I did a video of it. It's dead simple to do these things.
And the other script that I love is the one that changes wallpaper.
Yeah, that one's a little complicated, and to be honest, it's going to cause me some issues at some point because the image viewer SXIV. I'm using that. It's Xorg only. But the problem is there is no good image viewer I could use that would allow me to click on a picture in the image and then run an external command on the image I click. Like XXIV is kind of unique in that situation, but eventually with the switch to Wayland, I'm not going to be able to use that program. I don't know what I'm going to do with that wallpaper switcher. I may just have to use a standard GUI application, but there's really no good GUI applications written
Variety.
Yeah, but variety is
with my wallpapers. I just randomly select one from a folder and then just
but for switching, there's variety. I think somebody already made one that works on Wayland.
Well, that's been if it does, that would be one of the few, because a lot of image viewers, for example, don't work on Wayland, or they were written specifically for Wayland and they don't work on Xorg. So having one that works on both is a problem.
It just reminded me of the situation with Waydroid, the Android emulator, where you can have a full-fledged Android on Linux. There is no X alternative. There is no Android emulator for X. That's it. You're limited to a shell for Android. That's the only way you can interact with Android on X11, but on Wayland, because on my laptop in the store, I have Wayland. I run the GNOME version of Zero Linux on Wayland. I was able to install Waydroid, and it's amazing. I use a lot of applications that are Android only on Linux, full screen, and they show up in the app menu. You don't need to run Waydroid in the background.
No.
So, but this is the same situation. Like, it might be an alternative for Wayland, but for X11 there won't be. So vice versa, same thing. Like, so
is there no Angry Birds package in the AUR? I mean,
if there is, it's an app image of an Android app.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a container. For sure, it's going to be containerized.
It's going to come with Waydroid.
Yeah.
Waydroid integrate. So I want to download Angry Birds. Yeah, it's 4 gigabytes. Why? Because it's your entire Android operating system bundled in. One last thing I want to mention, because we don't have a lot of time here, and I'm surprised we haven't mentioned it. This was the release of Ubuntu 23.10.
God help us all.
Which, I thought was pretty damn cool. I thought it was a solid release. A lot of it has to do with I thought GNOME 45 has been fantastic. Probably the best version of GNOME.
I will stop you right there, DT.
There we go. That's what I wanted. There we go.
Okay. GNOME 45 on Ubuntu.
Tell me about it.
GNOME 45 on Ubuntu, great experience. Not wrong there. GNOME 45 on Arch. Different experience altogether, my friend. I maintain 0G and I know the nightmares.
Here's the thing. The Ubuntu team, all they focus on is GNOME. Like, the Arch team doesn't care about how GNOME works on Arch. I mean, I won't say they don't care about it, but that's not their primary focus, right?
No.
We're Ubuntu, the desktop team anyway. I mean, that's what they're trying to do, is make GNOME usable.
I'm not going to take long because we're approaching the end, but that's my main gripe with Arch maintainers, package maintainers. They they call it vanilla GNOME.
Yeah.
F no, it's not vanilla, because they ship a modified version. The maintainer of the GNOME packages on Arch modifies the GNOME and the dependencies and the whatnots, and then he ships it, and people call it, not him, I'm saying people call it the vanilla GNOME experience. That's not the vanilla GNOME.
You still need to patch the software to work on the
Each distribution is slightly different, so even if you're taking it from upstream, sometimes there are minor differences between distributions that they do have to.
For example, Fedora ships their own version of vanilla GNOME, but that's not the vanilla GNOME.
Well, I would love to check out, the latest version of Fedora 39 with GNOME 45, because, that's supposed to be released on October 17th. Oh, wait, that didn't happen. This is one of the things that, Fedora probably had a stretch of 8-10 years where I don't think they released on time ever there for a long period of time. And then there was recently, they had like 2 releases in a row that like released right on time. And it was weird. I was like, man, Fedora is really changing. They're actually keeping a schedule and not delaying releases for weeks or months at a time. And then this one keeps being pushed back. I think now they're saying it might be released in the middle of November, but they're saying that but by might, meaning that's probably not really gonna.
Right, but here's the thing with GNOME 45. Somebody turned something on. I don't know what it is. But anyway, for me, since I maintain
sorry guys,
a GNOME 45, GNOME version of Zero Linux, the extensions on the extension website haven't yet been updated to work with GNOME 45. Not all of them. So the ones that didn't work, I had to build from source. And I realized that GNOME 45 is supposed to have this change, that change, this change in the change log. This is their change log on their official website. I only saw 20% of those changes applied to the Arch version of GNOME 45.
Yeah.
The maintainer decided to forego 80% of the changes. Why? Ask him. Good luck getting an answer. Good luck getting an answer. So,
well, I'm glad we got that off your chest. So.
Thank you. But I want to finish by saying that thank you, DT. This episode was really heated up and really one of the best ever. Thank you.
Well, I don't know about that. It seemed like a lot of the same. Some conversations we've had before, but yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about Star Trek. I mean, we didn't.
No, we didn't go a lot. We didn't go off topic a lot. What I meant was the discussion.
Uh-oh, Murray, you're echoing again. Okay, let me mute Murray for a second. We're going to get a last word here in just a second from you, Murray. Hold on just a second. Or he dropped out. Or no, he just changed places with Ben on the screen for some reason.
Yeah, so...
And I didn't even get to talk about anything.
Oh, well, you're going to get a last word, too.
Okay.
You came in a bit late, Mr. Ben.
I know. I had a friend over last night, and he kept me up.
Oh.
Sorry.
Damn friends.
Saturday nights, wild parties.
Yeah, but I was out at a bar last night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We're not saying anything, but what I was saying is the heated debate with Big Pot. That was nice.
Well, you and Big Pot are fiery.
We're very opinionated people, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
Big Pot.
You know what? Big Pod probably would have less of an issue with you, Dark Zero, if you would start rewriting Zero Linux entirely in C# like it's supposed to be.
True.
No. Again, use whatever language you like. Don't
just use
me or anybody what language to use. It's what language you like.
Okay,
and
I'm gonna write it in
Klingon.
I'm gonna rewrite Zero Linux in Klingon.
And don't forget the
programming language.
Yeah, I mean, you could install the Klingon font out of the box. That would be kind of cool. I don't think any other distribution does that.
Good idea.
I mean, really, yeah, that's not bad. You could actually have a Star Trek themed distribution, kind of like Hannah Montana. You know, I don't know, 7 of 9 Linux distribution or whatever.
You heard it here first. The community editions of Zero Linux is in works. So we might have one like that.
Well, let's go ahead and get a last word from everybody, because I know this is going to take a little while.
Derek, just one thing. I used to maintain for a very short time a Star Wars The Old Republic version of Manjaro. It was funny because it did actually get on YouTube once, but I basically quit developing it after a while.
I want to say I've seen that around too. I want to say I've seen images of that.
It was pretty funny, actually, but it didn't last long. So.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of Trekkies in the Linux space.
Hello,
and there wasn't really any Star Wars people, so I just basically said.
Yeah, well, they're not as cool as Well, let's get a last word from Murray, because I know Murray's got some things he wants to hit on.
Yeah, I got three things to do. You were looking to copy large files.
Yes.
Alternative CP. There's DD Rescue, looks like a good candidate. It runs in the terminal, uses cursors, keeps a running track of the bytes sent and received, elapsed time, read errors, write errors. Simple to use, source file, target file, and optional log file. It's not like DD. It's got DD in the name, but it's nothing to do with DD.
Yeah, I will actually link to the page for DD Rescue if people want to know about it. I've heard of it, but I've never actually used it. Looks like, yeah, it's a data recovery tool.
Yeah, but it does a copy. You can use it just for copy purpose. And it bumps the CPU usage up, but it leaves a headroom for it, so you're not going to be locked out.
Okay.
The other thing, you still having trouble with reading variable names?
No, I found a tool. Yeah, I found a tool for that, but give me your tool.
RealPath.
RealPath. Oh, yeah, I know RealPath from the shell, yeah.
That works as well.
The problem with RealPath that I ran into was I needed to do something with scripting, and I don't think RealPath worked for me in a for loop. Like, you know, grabbing...
You can use ln-l and pipe it to sed as well.
I can't remember if I tried that or not, but I do remember RealPath because I know what RealPath is, but for whatever reason, with scripting with RealPath, it is not good.
Yeah. Okay, you want a stop jobs problem with that? You can go into etc system D, system conf, and look for default timeout stop sets. Uncomment it, change it 90 to 10. And that does some good. It cleaned up a couple, but it left some as well. So it helps, but it's not a complete solution.
Okay.
On it. And next time, I guess we got time of creating AppImages. I got two ways to create multiple entry points. Like if you put all your compression packages, 7-zip and PKZip and SPD.
Okay.
You've got ways you can run at runtime. You can select which one you want to use. One way is used by Flatpaks, others by BusyBox uses the same method. And I've got a way of web searching. Like normally, if you go to Brave Search, you bring it up and then you use the search box. You do the same Wikipedia, enter it, get the search box. It's a two-step operation for just about everything. Yeah, I've got a way in some instances to do it in one, using a bit of JavaScript in the URL. So I could go through that next time if anybody interested on it.
No, that is interesting. Yeah.
What you do is briefly is you Python added called copy on select. So if you highlight some select in an article, then you can click on the link and pass that as the argument without having to go down using some JavaScript in the instead of the URL. You have some JavaScript first and then the URL.
I've seen some browser extensions that do similar things where you can select something on the page and then right click on it, get a context menu where you can then perform some function on it.
Yeah, I do that 90% of my searches that way.
Yeah, I know I've installed them before where, like, if I didn't want to watch a video on a particular video platform, like YouTube, for example, I had a little context menu where I could just highlight the URL for the video and then right click and say open with MPV, and it just download it and play it in MPV on my machines.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Like it's very useful when you highlight a terminal command and you right click it and execute the command right there from the browser.
Yeah, be careful with that.
I know which commands I'm highlighting. Come on. I'm not dumb enough to highlight commands.
Yeah, RMRF.
Using ucheck.com, some of the commands I entered was how to run VLC as root. Gave a set command to do that, and it worked. Wait for stop job. That's how I found that one.
Okay.
Readlink alternatives. What is a magic file? It gives you direct answers to a lot of stuff that saves the regular time.
No, very cool.
For me.
No, thank you, Murray. Yeah, good information there. Appreciate you for hanging out with us on stream today. Ben, what you been up to? Give us a first and last word.
Well, the most thing I've been doing in Linux this past month is getting the November edition of StormOS ready, and I have some news on this. We've added some programs from Seeker, things like that, Calamares to 3.3. Oh, just a slew of things that are better left in a review. But Steve,
finally, they moved to Calamares 3.3. It took you a century and a half.
Well, not everybody wants to rebuild Calamares, you know.
Yeah, we went to 3.3, and oh my lord, what a task. But it's happened. And also, we are finally adding another desktop to the mix.
Awesome window manager.
No. That is not happening, Derek. You guessed wrong.
No, I thought you were an awesome guy.
Something different. And no, Steve, it's not KDE, it's Mate.
I know. I watched the episode with Alex.
Yes, it is going to be Mate, everybody.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep, it's going to be Mate. And there is no ETA on this one because we all know Mate is a pain in the neck to configure. So
you're just going the Fedora route, will release whenever?
Yes, Derek, it is going to be no ETA on this one.
Yeah.
No deepen.
Oh, that's not the Fedora route. The Fedora route is we set a date, we just never meet it.
Yeah. So basically, this one is going to be a work in progress for a little while. Basically, Ricky and I are going to be working on this one, and Seeker and everybody else on the team. So, yeah, this one is going to be kind of, it happens when it happens on this one. Especially the fact that, I'm on my last 2 classes for school and that sort of thing. And, pretty much this one is just up in the air right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. But yeah, focus on your education.
Yes, because I'm going towards a tech support degree and that sort of thing in cert. So pretty much,
nice.
I don't know when to
maintain it to use if you are a noob.
Yeah. And for those of you in the YouTube chat, because we were down for about 30 seconds or so, yeah, it looks like we're back. Yeah, I don't know. We had a issue with the network there. It went down there for a little bit. Even OBS quit connecting to streaming to YouTube. It was weird. I don't know what that was. But.
So I'm going to reiterate it. If you are a new to Linux person, Zero Linux is not it for you. Please choose another distro.
Yeah. And I'm going to say the same with StormOS.
It's based on Arch, so yeah.
Yeah, it's another Arch-based system, so please, for the love of God, don't expect it to be something where you can just hop on Discord or somewhere else and get help. It's not going to happen.
No, I'm not on board with you on that one. I'm just going to say you will get help, but you will only get help with the things that people can give you help with. Don't expect them to hold your hand, because I had a question yesterday from someone. He was allowed to ask the question. It wasn't a wrong question, but it made me laugh a little bit, because it was, does anyone got a manual on how to use that thing?
I solved this problem. All I had to do was put out an ISO with Qtile and Emacs as the basis for the desktop environment. I never have a problem with noobs showing up. Like, they just don't do it.
Oh, jeez.
I wish that was the same for us. I wish.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of my point, Steve, is that, they expect everything on a gosh darn silver platter.
Exactly.
And that's not what our distros are designed for. It's just the stupidest thing. But anyway, back to your thing.
Yeah, let him wrap up.
I'm wrapping up.
I know we were already running long. This is my fault. Well, a lot of it was we had conversations that took us in all kinds of different directions.
The final thing I'm going to say is, please, on my website, there's a blurb. There's 2 lines on the main page that specifically say, this distro is not for everyone. Basic Linux knowledge is a must-have, and the explanation is within the download page. If you don't take the time to read 6 lines, or if you open the browser, you maximize the browser, it's only 3 lines. If you read those 3 lines, you will understand where I'm coming. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. If you don't read them, it's not my fault. It's not up to me to make you reread a line.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, Dark Zero. Let's get back to Zenabit for a last word. I don't know. He is with us and mic'd up. If he's not, we'll come back to him if he gets mic'd up. Big Pod, give us a last word.
So first of all, we should give, in general, users should give them best user experience, best UX. So GUI by research shows that it is best UX.
Okay, Ubuntu.
Okay, good. Best UX should, we as Linux community, we as maintainers should always give users best UX. Simple as that. That's number 1. Number 2, yesterday, or in the last couple of days, a new image for Fedora Silverblue was released. I recommend you check out Project Bluefin at projectbluefin.io. It's by the Universal Blue team, which I'm part of its community. And some other standout images by uBlue is also Bazite, which is basically a gaming-centric Fedora Silverblue with stuff like Steam out of the box, and even an image for Steam Deck if you don't want to use Arch. And really good images. I recommend you check it out.
Yeah, I linked that to the YouTube chat as well.
Thank you, Big Pod. I'll check those out too.
Yeah, really neat website too. I like that. Oh. Thanks, Big Pod. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for giving Steve, a little, when he needed it.
Thank you, Big Pod.
All right, Slindy, give us the last word.
Well, I have 2 things. First is going to be careful around knives, okay? You don't want to hurt yourself. And second of all, I started working on a series of articles on programming a programming language.
Inception on the word programming. Okay.
That's it.
Oh, we appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm sorry, I was caught up in looking at OBS. We're buffering again, but let's hurry up and get through. Stefan, give us the last word.
Well, I'd recommend installing and using Tmax and its respective NeoVim plugin for this month. Also configuring their language servers and auto-completion with a Lua configuration. Like, just dig through it once, and it's a wonderful experience. My workflow productivity increased drastically. Other than that, please don't tolerate the hate. Try to stay friendly. Try to strive for respect towards all human beings and other animals whatsoever. And peace. Thank you, Derek, for hosting.
Thanks, Stefan.
Wise words, Stefan.
Jean-Michel, give us the last word, sir.
After such a lot of good words, I don't have a lot to say, but first I would thank really Dark Zero and Big Pot for the interesting discussion. I'm still not sure if I want to use a GUI or not a GUI, but it's fine.
Hey, either way, you're going to say the wrong thing. So that's Stefan knew. Hey, you know what? I'm not saying a word. Stefan just like I'm stepping back.
And maybe as the last word, I would wish to Dark Zero, because he lives in a difficult country now, that everything goes well for him and all the people on this region. So, and I wish everyone a good day.
Yeah.
Well said.
Zero Linux keeps my thoughts away from what's going on outside my window. 20 kilometers away, they bombed an airport.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you guys. Slindy, Zenabit, I don't think he was mic'd up, so if you're there, if you want to give us a last word, say something. If not, I'm going to go ahead and say my last word, which is simply thanking you guys for hanging out, being on camera. We had a couple of folks that were here earlier that have dropped off, but you guys were great. Had a good discussion, as Steve pointed out. It was a fun one this time. I do want to thank you guys in the YouTube chat as well. Had some good questions and comments there. And other than